as a kid, like every year for Christmas, I asked for a drum. And fourth grade, I wanted it bad. And I'm going to ask these guys to share their story too, but I want to kind of just start real quick and kind of set the frame here. It was the 4th of July, the Firemen's Parade. It was the end of June, coming up on the 4th of July. And this Scottish bagpipe band was like walking down the street, and they were playing, and drums were and then a fife and drum band came down the street. I'm like, oh, Mom, I gotta play the drum. I want to play the drum. My mom was a second grade teacher, so there was no way in hell there was going to be a drum in her house at the end of a long day. So she said, Mark, how about the flute? You can play the fife in the fife and drum corps. So in 4th grade, I signed up a band for the flute. It's okay. Just didn't grab me though, like the drum. So then 5th grade, I was like, Mom, could I just switch to the drum? It's tough being a boy in 4th grade playing the flute. It's a rough thing, you know. But the drum is kind of cool. She said, how about the piano? You know, the piano is a percussion instrument. There's little hammers in there, hitting the strings. That's a percussion instrument right there. Hi, baby. So I learned the piano, started learning the piano, and that's why I liked the little cartoon. When I get the piano next week, when I figure that out, can I then try to go? And then in 7th or 8th grade, I was like, could I join the band in school? I want to play the drum. But they had plenty of drummers, and my sister had the intel that they needed French horn players. So my mom was like, you know, you've always loved the National Geographic special music. And today I can just play that in my head and I can get all charged up. Yes, I'd love to learn. Very positive, what we call an anchor in neurolinguistics. It just puts you right back there. And so I learned to play the French horn, sort of. I was never very good at it. It's a hard instrument. And again, you carry that thing around school and kids are gonna make fun of you. Built character, yeah. Built character, And then I was like, Mom, please, can I just play the drum? She was like, you know, your father has a guitar in the closet. He never plays it. And it's a rhythm instrument. That's a rhythm instrument, Mark. And I'm like, okay. I kind of wanted to learn to play the guitar anyway, so I learned to play the guitar. And it wasn't until I was in my 30s when I had an 8-year-old son and his mom signed him up for an African drumming after-school program. And I went to pick him up one day after school, and I was like, I said to the teacher, is there any way I can learn? Can I join the class? Can I join the class? Because it's time. I waited long enough. And I'll sing a song about him in a minute. My drum teacher, Kevin Oliver, and he was a really amazing, authentic African drummer. And we learned, you know, to play one little part. He was like, in Africa, if you don't play your part, if you mess around, they'll kill you. The little kids are like, okay. So they all played their part. It was great. And from that came a whole career of combining drums, songs, and stories, which has been tremendously wonderful for me. And so that was for me my moment. I wanted these guys to share their moment. I knew I wanted to be a drummer when. Pete, you're next. You're next in the victim line here.
So I was born in March 30th, 1979. I won't go back.
The short version, Pete.
All right. When I was 2, we moved to Pennsylvania, but we were getting ready to move back. His family lived here in Albany, and their son, who was a teenager, he was a big kid, had a drum set, and I don't recall anything before that really strong about drums, but I really wanted to play the drums. So I went up, and I'd been listening to like Weird Al or something, and he did a funny version of George of the Jungle. So I was doing dum 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 George of the Jungle. Yeah.
Watch out for that tree, Splat.
So that was one of the things I did. Time just went by, and I bugged my parents, and I actually didn't want to move back to Albany, but one of the consolation prizes of moving back to Albany was that I was going to get a drum set. And my mom insisted I take lessons if I was going to play drums. Because I think she had the same thing, as you. It was like, it could be pretty awful listening to a kid just bang on drums without any.
Yeah, I totally get it now.
Yeah. So I started with my drum teacher, and it turns out Brian and I actually Brian knew my drum teacher, who's passed away now. I just found that out. And he was a really inspirational, positive guy, and sort of like a father figure. And I already loved it and really took the drums, but that was something that brought a lot in my life.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Brian, you're on. You want to grab that mic so we can hear you?
You can hear me, right? Yeah. Can you hear me? Microphones shut me up, actually. It's all of a sudden it's bigger than life. No, can you hear me okay? Yeah, I'm a papa too, so it's amazing when you become a dad. You get this voice. Okay. But for me, it was a very interesting journey. Yeah. When I was about 6, I started banging on everything. Roller skate case became my bass drum, I still even have that. It's all caved in now. It's great. But I was that typical, sort of stereotypical kid, banged on everything. Coffee cans, oatmeal containers, the whole nine. And had amassed quite a selection of gadgets. Now, it's interesting to hear about your moms. God bless them, right? My mom took a whole totally different spin on this. And I thought that this was rather cool. Because people in the neighborhood would say, how do you stand the racket? She said, at least I know where he is. I thought that was all right. Yeah. So anyway, for me, I was blessed with a family of musicians. My grandfather played a little bit in a marching band, and my great uncle Earl, who has passed, relocated to Florida, but was still a card-carrying union member of both Albany and Schenectady when he passed in Florida, believe it or not. He was a union guy to the core and played a lot, and he came to visit. And I was very blessed that he was in my life because he was visiting this one particular day and made an announcement to my parents and said, either you get this kid a set of drums or I'm going to do this. And they were kind of, and my mom, I miss her terribly. She's gone now. But she said, really? Really? He goes, really? I've been here 6 hours. The kid hasn't stopped. So, but here's the thing that I just wanted to share, not to become solemn, but this is the powerful thing for me, and I didn't know this because obviously, well, I say that, I mean, we are connected with our younger selves at times, right? But I didn't know this about what happened. For me, even banging on those cans and stuff, my mother told me that Brian went out of the house as this introverted little kid. And it was like a new Brian came in. So that was the power for me with music. And now, later in life, being able to, like Pete and Mark, able to share in our way, with teaching and playing and stuff. That's the message that I always try to get off to parents that are a little reluctant. It's like, not going to lecture because it's not my place to do so, but you just don't know. You know what I mean? And that was a pretty powerful thing, So for me, at 6 years old, banging on a Quaker oatmeal container. So please, finish your oats, and then you go.
Yeah. And so what I want to do is kind of turn it out to you as well. What dream did you have as a kid? What thing ignited your interest and passion that maybe you haven't done in a while? That maybe is still calling you. What is that? And I want you to just whisper to yourself that maybe it's still possible.